On Tuesday, in a heated debate, members of parliament accused the Senate of overstepping its mandate in the Kenya Airways probe. MPs in the National Assembly's Transport Committee put a question on the floor of the House asking whether probing the KQ woes was part of the Senate mandate. A question that saw the legislators bash senators, with some referring to Senate as an idle house. And on Wednesday, the Senate Select Committee, chaired by Kisumu Senator Anyang Nyong'o, that was probing acting Labour Cabinet Secretary Rachel Omamo over the retrenchment of National Carrier employees, chose not to ignore the remarks by members of the National Assembly. The senators have told off the MPs, saying they have the power to investigate the financial woes facing the National Carrier.
In Article 125 of the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya gives both houses powers to call anybody to give evidence before the houses.
We'll continue with our work undeterred by whatever noises are coming from the lower house.
Going by the pronouncements of the Cabinet Secretary, is going to bail out Kenya Airways to the tune of 60 billion shillings. It will affect Kenyans who live in county.
The committee probing the financial and management problems at the National Carrier has now blamed the Ministry of Labour for failing to avert the retrenchment of 447 KQ staff in 2012 on the basis of redundancy by disregarding a statutory notice given to the ministry informing them of the retrenchment.
And when an employer wants to retrench or declare any employee redundant, he does not only give the notice to the union, and if the member of staff is not unionizable, he does not just give it to the employee. It gives that notice to the labor officer.
Because people retrench for various reasons. The critical thing is that they do it lawfully.
Questions as to why KQ fired some of its staff and immediately employed 517 foreigners with high salaries through outsourcing also rose.
It's the Kenyan interest. They're the ones who are retrenched on matters of redundancy, and then we have foreigners employed. I don't know whether that is the common practice or it happens on whatever grounds.
To the employment of foreigners and so on, those issues really should be brought to the attention of the Ministry of Labour so that action can be taken. I think some of, you've read out many grievances, and not all of them are before us.
Omamo told the Nyong'o-led committee that her ministry is currently dealing with 3 disputes out of 30 disputes that pilots union had with the KQ management. The Ministry of Labour further refuted claims that they side with employers when handling labour disputes with employees.
There have been a number of disputes, and many of these disputes have been brought to the ministry either through the employer or through the unions.
They've had a record of 36 meetings. During that process, they were able to resolve all the other issues within the CBA, with the exception of 6 which were outstanding, as I mentioned earlier.
The Ministry of Labour will next week appear before the committee to shed more light over employment of foreigners into the National Carrier and whether the ministry received a statutory notice from KQ before retrenching its employees.